Pretty professional, right, Scott?
I love it. I love it. It made me think, do you make the employees and staff of Live companies watch this so that there's at least 30 people watching?
I do, and still none of them watch it.
I force them to, and they still won't do it.
Still won't do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
so you guys watch the show? Like, oh, I forgot.
Yeah, we were really busy working.
I think the number one rule of podcasting and broadcasting is don't talk crap about your own show. And I already broke that because this is an awesome show, and super excited to have Scott Edmonston here. Scott is an incredible architect, founder of C Studio up there in Bethany Beach, Delaware, and also in Philadelphia. So I definitely want to kind of dig in and talk about how he started that and how he grew that. Scott and I also have a history since freshman year of college, as we were in freshman year studio together, and then 5 years together at Virginia Tech Architecture. And then for some reason, all of us pretty much stayed in touch. I use a metaphor, it was like we were all on a plane crash together. So we're tight, we're bonded just through trauma and all that stuff. And but it's cool to see all the awesome stuff that so much of our class are doing. And Scott is no different. So thank you for being here, Scott.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. This might actually be a very, we might actually have all died in a plane crash together, and this just might be the afterlife. We might not know.
That's a good point. This may be, it feels like purgatory.
It might be. Yeah. You could have done anything. You decided to be an architect.
Yeah, and we all kind of took somewhat similar paths, I think. Most of us ended up in the field of architecture, I think, at least of our group, right? Kind of what we set out to do in college. There's a couple of us. I know Charlie was, his license plate was all-nighter, and he was just so smart and just working nonstop in studio, and then graduated and went into banking. And he's probably a billionaire. So that's just how smart he was.
Yeah, he was smart enough to leave it. But it is interesting how many people, I don't think most majors are like that. Where pre-med majors, how many of them actually end up going on to become a doctor, or decide they hate it? Like, how many of us actually went in and are practicing architecture and sticking with it, even though an architecture education, I think, trains you to do anything. And not trains you, but it changes the way you think so that you could do almost anything with more education. Obviously, I'm not saying we're the smartest people on the planet. I'm just saying we've been taught to think differently.
It's pretty universal. It teaches you how to learn and improve, right?
Yeah.
And to think outside the box. So there's no such thing as tasks and knowing what to do when you approach any project, right? So it's a lot of somewhat learning as you go, right? Or just a constant wanting to have more knowledge and then apply it is how I think of it, right?
Yeah, I think it actually makes you comfortable with failure too, right? Like you're gonna pin some stuff up and people are gonna hate it, and it's like, oh, okay, well, they don't hate me, or they at least didn't tell me they hate me.
They did not hate you. Me, maybe.
Yeah.
No, but that's exactly right. It's kind of the acceptance of constructive criticism, understanding that it's a different perspective, and their criticism may not even be right.
Yeah,
right? You can criticize their critic; it goes on for forever, which is a little bit of the pain of architecture school, because we didn't really know what the end game was. It's not and I was talking to Ross about this. You don't have the Christmas story teacher who writes A plus 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 plus. That's
right.
not really a thing. You just hope that when the report card comes out, because you don't get any grades, right, until the end of the semester, and you just hope that you passed.
Yeah, totally, dude. I think I got a C plus first semester freshman year. I might be getting the grade. It might have been lower than that. It might have been a C, or something. And walking in the first day of freshman year, I thought I was like Frank Lloyd Wright reincarnate. Like, I'm going to be the greatest of all time. You can't tell me any different. Then pretty quickly I found out that wasn't true. And then I got a C plus or a C or maybe a C minus. I don't know. I don't think C minus would have passed. So it must have been a C or a C plus. I got a B minus the next semester. I was walking on air, man. I was as high as somebody could possibly be. But from J to like go up a full like half letter grade, I was like, I'm back. I am the greatest of all time. I must be.
Dude, it's totally true. Like, but you didn't. I guess we would get some feedback.
Yeah.
But we never really knew. It wasn't necessarily with a smile.
The first feedback I ever got from Jay was we had like mid-semester reviews. I mean, we got like independent project feedbacks if it was, if it was worth talking about, but he called us into his office for mid-semester reviews. The first thing he said to me was, "You haven't been here enough for me to know your name. What is it?" I was like, "Wow." Dude, I don't know that we even talked. I don't think he had any more notes for me. I think it was just, there you go. It was like, all right, okay. So work harder. You think I should work harder a little bit? And I did.
Well, he had an aura, and if anybody's listening who had Jay Stokel knows, and actually there's an architect, design builder in Charlottesville who I got to know through a peer group, Dan Zimmerman at Alloy, and when we first got dinner, he said he went to Virginia Tech Architecture, and I was like, "Did you have Jay?" And he's like, "I had Jay." I'm like, "High five!" Right?
Yeah, we made it.
It was a very painful learning existence, but extremely powerful in that 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be the architect I am today if I didn't have that painful experience, like as a foundation of like, no, this isn't good enough. You're going to have to be better than this. And you have to work harder and and more. And it's really, that's all it is. It's time on the water, right? It's time on your skis. That's how you get better.
Yeah, and we were fortunate enough to have him, and I don't know that everybody agrees with this. So when we studied in Europe and Switzerland and we did the residency program, he went with us. And I remember like his first speech to us was, "Never in your life are you going to have nothing to worry about except being in studio and working on your projects."
Yeah.
So we're all excited to go tour the Eiffel Tower and do all this stuff. And the way he sees it is, you don't have any other classes. You don't have any other pressures of school. You don't have family. You don't have, like, you're here to do this. And we did. We spent, a lot of time in studio, but we also, enjoyed life, which maybe is a piece that we saw him do a little bit in Europe, which was kind of nice, like a little bit more smiling, like the world isn't all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Because it was a painful, tortured artist mentality at the same time.
Oh yeah, he was totally a tortured artist. But I still tell people that like our interns and our young people, it's like what we try to do is, build people up, let them see the whole part of the practice, let them understand like this is what, if you want to go out and run your own firm one day and like compete with C Studio, like do it. Like I want you to. I think that more good architects around makes people do more better projects, like makes clients hire architects, right? So, but at the same time, I'll point out to them like how different my life is from their life. If they're a first or second year person in our office, or up to like your third or fourth year, it's like you're just drawing. Like you might have some stress because you have to show it to me and I have to like it or whatever. But honestly, if there's stress coming from the clients, like I'm eating it. If you're worried about like the financial aspects of the company, like me and the management team, like we're dealing with it. What you have to worry about right now is just like do something really good and put it on my desk, whatever that takes. And it's like, and remember, just like Billy Madison said, like stay in school, never graduate, never grow up. That's the thing. Like when you have those moments, and even trying now to find time to like just be at your desk and draw. Like I realized there like whole weeks will go by where I don't draw anything, and then it's like, oh man, why am I like cranky? It's like, oh, I haven't got to design anything in 4 days. Like just sit down and draw, and your mood will change. So yeah, it's Jay was right, at least that one time.
Well, yeah, and I think in talking about the younger architect mentality, kind of two pieces of it. One, I'm completely I'm completely on board with that whole idea, and working for a small firm like you guys, and you guys aren't small, but as opposed to working for an SOM or something like that.
Yeah.
And your ability to have fun designing, try and learn, create better stuff, get better every day. And I think we've hired multiple designers this year at LivCo, and it's something that we've struggled with a little bit in just having the deadlines that need to get met, right?
Yeah.
But we want, and part of my whole idea of LivCo is to create an environment where young, smart architects and designers can do what they dreamed of, which is designing cool houses and cool spaces for great families, and not enter the world of corporate architecture and hit that roadblock and detail stairs for the rest of their lives, and then go into furniture sales. Because I do feel like while our class,
or window sales,
absolutely, because you can do really well on that, right? But I hate it. It breaks my heart when so many really talented people leave the industry because they don't realize that there's so many small firm environments where they can really be part of a special culture, and and do their passion, right? Is the idea. And
like if you work for
financially successful,
if you work for a big firm, and like how many like auditorium stairs in elementary schools could you do before you were like, I can't draw another one of these, like I can't, just like, you know what I'm talking about, the stairs that also turn into it, like, and it's like, this is every school in the United States now. I'm like, do you have to have this, or does it not like meet the standards of education if you don't have one of these, or what? Like, and that's the way I feel. It's like, man, if we do the same thing over and over and over again, like I'll be so bored. I can't, like, I wouldn't want to do it, even if my name's on the door.
Yeah, and there's a cycle time in those types of projects. It's years and years and years.
Yeah.
Which some of us just don't have the patience for. That's not necessarily, I'm not saying that that's a good thing that I don't have the patience for it, but when you're working on a project for 2 years of design, is kind of gets old.
Yeah. But to that point, like, you got to know who you are, right? If you're a person who does have the patience for that, and I'm with you, I do not, then it's like, like work on a project for 10 years and see, like, and you'll get, 4 projects done in your whole career, and like, they'll probably be really sick. I hope they're sick. But like for me, I was just thinking about this because we just got some photos back of a project we did, and we just actually like got some announcements on awards, and like, and look back at like, man, those projects that we just got an award for started literally 5 years ago, and like, and that's a fast cycle. And like in residential, it's like, well, we started that project, we got through design, it took 2 years to build a new house or whatever, like at a custom level. And then it took a while to get photos and submission and whatever. You don't get the payback on it. Not that the award's the payback. I feel like the award's sort of a marketing scheme, but like I feel like the finished photos and the standing inside the building that you like helped make, those are the payback, and you don't get that for years. It's wild.
Yeah, and on that note, tell us kind of a little bit about what your practice is focusing on for the most part right now. What's going on at C Studio?
Yeah, so we like, I started the company really, like I mentioned this to you before we went live, is I'm not a planner, right? Like, it sounds like a ridiculous thing for an architect to say, but like, I don't make plans, I draw plans, right? But we live here in Bethany Beach. My wife had an opportunity to transfer here. We were living in DC. She hated being in the city. Her company let her transfer to anywhere in territory she got here. So it was like, I guess I'm going to go to the beach, right? Like, let's make that happen. And then I looked around at other firms. This is like when somebody's like, tell me your whole story. It was like, I was born a small child, and I'm going to get through this part fast. But like, when I looked around, there are no firms doing the kinds of work here that I want to be doing, right? It's either like too kind of schlocky traditional, or it's long scale projects that I know I don't have the patience for. And so I'm like, well, I'll start a firm, and I got some really great advice from a very early client that was like, you can always get a real job. And it's like, oh man, it was so freeing to hear that. Like, you can try, you could fail, and like you can get a real job if this doesn't work. And then I got some great advice from my father-in-law, who was like, no, it'll work because it has to work. And it's like both things were true. It's like I can get a real job, but also this has to work. So I'm going to grind. I'm going to make it happen. So, and then for me, it's like leaning into the things that I really cared about, right? Which is like I personally, like, I love modern architecture. I love the sort of cold, cool, like steel and concrete, but that's not really what I'm drawn to personally. Like, I'm drawn to a much more kind of traditional, transitional, modern architecture, where it's like clearly it was designed in 2025. It's of our time, but it feels like a house. The couch in the room feels like something you'd want to take a nap on. And then like sustainability, I just feel like I come from a family of public servants. Like, my brother's a firefighter and paramedic. My dad was a police officer. Like, my mom did nursing, like all that stuff. It's like everybody in my family, they're all like caring people, and I'm over here drawing pictures in a dark basement by myself, and it's like, all right, well, let's find a way to do good at the same time. So that's really how we started, and that's like what we are trying to focus on, is just like really good, simple buildings. Like, started as houses, and now it's grown into buildings that have that are kind of belong to their place, that are sustainable, that are resilient. So we've transitioned from solely houses into civic architecture. We've done some work at a performing arts venue. We've done some work at a botanic garden. We've done some small office and restaurant spaces and things like that. So really, we're trying to do it all, as long as people like care about the architecture, sort of not budget dependent. Like, if you want to spend a little bit of money and do like some cool work, it's like, let's do it, and like my whole thing is, and I know Dave, you'll appreciate it. So it's just like, just try to have fun. Like, work is, you got to spend a lot of time at work. Let's make sure you're actually doing something you like doing while you're there.
Why do you say that? I would like that.
Didn't you start your company? Wasn't it Live Funner? Was it?
It was.
So,
It was originally Live Funner. That's right.
Yeah. If this was live, we could. If it wasn't live, we could cut that if you wanted to. But I just thought, like, the same, like that. I feel like we're kindred spirits in that, which is like, you can, like, yes, you have to be serious at work, and like, but let's goof off. Like, let's have fun while we're here, and like, and do the same thing, like goof off on the page while you're drawing, goof off just together a little bit, and like, but like, be fun people, but do serious work.
Yeah, I think there's maybe two. This isn't about me, but follow-ups to that. So yeah, absolutely. So Live Funner, and it was also built out of, from a design standpoint, because moving to Chicago after Virginia Tech, and I talked to Ross Barney about this on our show last week. It's a very rigid Miesian Bauhaus directed level of perfection, and I felt like that was maybe, and I think you appreciate that as well. That's a little bit limiting and not as much fun. And I appreciated the playfulness in design. In the ways of like Prickly Mountain and all those guys that said, we have a 4x8 sheet of plywood and we don't have a saw. So I guess the sheet of plywood is just going to hang over the side, and we'll make that an architectural moment, right?
Right.
Kind of have fun with off-the-shelf products, as opposed to we have to have this perfectly designed extruded aluminum profile or nothing, right?
Yeah.
Was a little bit of what that was born from. And then I worked for Getch Partners, which would be a great international Chicago-based architecture firm. Top floor, we looked down on SOM, white marble,
right. Literally and physically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful, and you could hear a pin drop in that place because it would echo throughout the entire atrium. And so Fridays, I would walk in the door and look up to the receptionist, and every time I walked in on Fridays, it was Friday dance party. I was like, Friday dance party, it's Friday. And everyone would be like, he's dancing in the office. You're not supposed to do that, right?
Dude, same, 100% same. The first firm I worked for, David M. Schwartz Architects. Like, I think I was the first, and at the time, only Virginia Tech grad that they had ever hired there, because they did really like classical architecture. They did symphony halls and, and just like brick arches, and, built a trim details, and it was beautiful work. And I was really drawn to it because it felt like real buildings, and it wasn't that sort of, Miesian rigidity necessarily. It was like organized and disciplined, but also like, creative and beautiful. But their office, they had this policy, which was the
No
you
dancing.
no dancing, no smiling. Dancing, you couldn't even smile. I mean, you could dance as long as you didn't smile. That was it. But they had a policy which was like they wanted people not to wear headphones because they wanted you to like listen to the conversations that were happening. But it was a very quiet place, so like even if you were tuned in, you couldn't possibly hear the conversations that were happening. So then they had a radio, and it was the policy was, and they've since changed. This was 20 years ago, but it was like the volume is controlled by whoever is least tolerant of the radio. So like if you put on something that I hated, I couldn't turn it off, but I could go up and turn it down to 1. And so it's like what that means, it's like a CIA torture chamber. It's like basically like you're listening to Josh Groban at a 1. And it's like, well, I hate it, but it's back in my subconscious. I can't do anything about it. And it was like, and every time I would go over to somebody's desk and like crack a joke or whatever, and they would do that, like laugh with their hand over their mouth or whatever, or like roll their eyes at whatever terrible joke it was, it like everybody's heads would turn, and it was like the records like scratched and stopped. And I was like, you know what, this place they're doing amazing work. And they've since changed. They've since like much more like letting young people sort of dictate what an office should be like. And it's a much more like progressive environment. They were doing amazing work. And like, I was unhappy doing it. Like, it was beautiful. It was fantastic. And I was like, I don't like this experience of coming to an office. So when I started my own office, well, really when we hired our first person 7 years into starting my own office, it was like, well, we're going to have fun here. Like, we're not going to just, be this mausoleum that you work in. Cause I care as much about like the experience of making architecture as the architecture.
Now, do you guys listen to music in the office?
Yeah, we do. But the young guys don't like to listen to my hip hop very much, So we have like Sonos throughout, like everybody has headphones, like they can do whatever they want to do. We do though talk, like I like just having conversations with one of our newest people about like, look, you got to know when to put music on. Like, you got to know when to like listen to something that's helping you versus like, I think there's a tendency people have to want to like listen to a podcast or listen to like a book on tape or something while they're working. And like, you remember the story that Jay told about picking crabs, and he's like, you aren't thinkers, you're crab pickers right now. And like, you can see it when they put that stuff, like put work that they've done that way on your desk. It's like, hey, you weren't thinking here, So like, I personally need music when I'm designing. Like, I like to listen to albums that I know all of the words, and I like dance and sing. I'm sitting at a standing table here, and somehow by like using the front of my brain for that, it allows like the good ideas to like kind of filter through. And like and I think you judge yourself a little less when you're kind of occupying your brain. But if I'm trying to listen to a comedy podcast, I'm just waiting for the joke. I'm just super focused on getting to like what they're gonna say, and that the thing you're drawing is suffering for it. That was
Do you guys have an open office?
Yeah, it's an open office space,
Yeah.
which is amazing and terrible all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's the greatest and worst invention of all time.
Yeah, we're the same way, and there's no way to do closed. We kind of did a closed conference room, but we couldn't. It didn't really work.
Yeah,
because we built our whole office out of stacked 2x6s and classic.
Yeah. I think I saw your office, and then I was like, this will be a good idea. So I did a similar like a takeoff on it, and we call them our pig pens because they look like there should be hay inside of them, and like you should.
We have a plan. We have a plan for the remodel, which actually eliminates all the 2x6 walls. But it was a fun way to build partitions back when lumber wasn't that crazy expensive, without drywall or anything like that. And but what we ended up taking over, our neighbors moved out, so we took over an expansion space, which is just a room. So at least we have, quote unquote private conference room. But we always have music playing, and historically, we just played XRT, 93 XRT, which is just a classic Chicago radio station. Kind of like you can't go wrong with it. Except when you listen to it every day for like 7 years. It is somewhat repetitive, but it's just kind of background music, and then people put headphones on. We do have a wheel. Go ahead.
Well, it's like the dentist office, right? You go in there all the time and you're like, nobody hates this music, but also no one wants to listen to it. We had this thing where the Sonos set up with a alarm where every day, like, at 9:30 or something, it would turn on to just like a classical, like, Pandora playlist or something. And then my theory was, okay, we'll put something on. People are only going to tolerate for a little bit, and then they'll put what they really want to listen to on. They all have control over it. They can put whatever they want on, but nobody does it, and they all just hate it. And so finally just having lunch with one of our guys last week, he was like, could we sometimes not listen to music? I was like, dude, turn it off. I don't know. I don't want to listen to it either, because it ends up being the same, Pandora plays the same 30 songs.
Well, it's interesting when your studio goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 8 to 10, right? It's a completely different merging of personalities. And we have a wheel I bought on Amazon years ago. So it's just a dry erase wheel with whatever 8 pi, and we wrote people's names on it. And so we can use that to decide like who's going to pick the music today. We could technically spin the wheel, but the way that wheel got invented, and this is just, I don't know, this is just another weird Daveism. So when we were a smaller group, we used to order lunch, I think, on like Tuesdays and Thursdays, just order Jimmy John's or something. And the reason that started is because I'm an owner and my partner Russ is an owner, and every now and then it would be a day of the week, and Russ would be like, I'm going to order lunch. Anybody want something? We're paying. And people are like, yeah, I'd love a lunch, but I kind of already brought my own lunch.
Right.
So I said, okay, well, let's just do it this way. We're going to have planned lunches. So every Tuesday and Thursday, you don't have to worry about bringing your lunch in. We'll order lunch. And then it became this whole thing like, well, what should we order? Well, who's going to do it? Who's going to choose? So the wheel of lunch, if it landed on you, you were in charge of saying where we were ordering from. Done. Nobody ever wanted to win that.
No, that's so much pressure. It's an intense amount of pressure. I mean, dude, pick up the phone to talk to like a multimillionaire about their house or a billionaire about their house. So much less pressure than picking lunch for everybody.
I don't know, Chipotle. Like, I don't know. What if we do sushi? Oh my god! So
floating a bunch of balloons out there, just seeing what people don't pop.
So COVID silver lining, we canceled the lunches, and now we just don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Plus, it got really expensive once we had 10 people in the office versus 3.
Yeah. Right. And hard to find consensus on something, like, because then it's like, oh, well, somebody's a vegetarian, somebody's gluten free, somebody like that, is a pescatarian. It was just like, all right, just get your own lunch.
Yeah. It's
here's $5. And they're like, thanks, Gramps. $5 won't buy anything.
Those are like fun, somewhat irking cultural growth challenges, right? So how big are you guys now?
We're 11 people now. So we have four people. Yeah. 4 people in our Philadelphia office, 7 people in our Bethany office. And, it's like, you do find like you have to develop ways to be more direct about stuff that normally you would just like let go, somebody's like little idiosyncrasy or whatever. That's like, it's like, look, it's fine for me. I don't care that I don't know, crack your knuckles or whatever, but like this other person, it's driving them insane. And you can't say it that way. Obviously you can't be like, hey, I don't care, but Joe over there, you're driving him insane. He wants to murder you, So it's like that's the thing that like they don't teach you in architecture school. Is like you just got to go to somebody and be like, hey, I need you to cut that, whatever that is. We don't have any knuckle crackers in our office, so I'm not outing anybody. Just like
I was like, they might be watching this right now. Like, is he talking about?
Probably not.
So my first job when I worked at Arc Ideas, and it wasn't. It wasn't when I was there, but before I was there, there was the lead principal who was kind of a silent owner. He had pretty much handed it over to the partners, and every now and then he'd come into the office for a couple of hours. It would sit there and clip his toenails.
Oh my god!
Well, the legend is one of the guys had safety goggles, so he would just put, as soon as he started doing that, he put his safety goggles on so he could little clip it.
Dude, I feel like that's a really great test. Like if I went into our office now, because I don't want yes men, like, or yes women, right? I want like people who are going to tell me how it really is, and like, and I actually try to reinforce that. I'm not sure they all are that way, but like that would be a great test. Go in there, start clipping your toenails, take your shoes and socks off, start clipping your toenails, and then see who says to you, "Can you not?" You're like, "All right, look, can you not? You're officially now a senior project architect. You just
I'd be like,
got promoted.
get out of here. You're done.
Get out."
You tell me what to do. Maybe it was just a power test.
Yeah, I think you might have failed. It was a power test. You like really left a huge promotion on the table there.
Was that the purpose of the plot of Willy Wonka?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It was just that was like just don't screw up, right?
Okay, yeah.
Be good at if you're a good person and you follow all the rules, Gene Wilder will give you a chocolate factory. That's the moral.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking about a different movie. So, yeah, I mean, with that, I think, how about personality? And that's probably somewhat related, right? How do you maintain trust and team culture, and help everyone understand working amongst different personalities?
Yeah, I mean, man, it's tough, right? Because like we talked about sort of like I think we have a similar sort of vision for architecture and approach to it, which is that like it's not such a rigid like Miesian thing, but the way I set up C was that we have like everybody should be a thinker, they should all be designers, they should all be like leading a project, right? Like, yes, there's a principal in charge of that project, but I don't want to be like, hey, I drew this, now you execute it. I want to be like, hey, I like this is a direction I think we're heading in. Show me some really great stuff, right? And some people are going to be like, I make a series of rules or a grid that this thing lives on, and maybe I'll break that every once in a while. And some people are just like, you know, just the most talented people you've ever seen draw something, and you're like, that's better than something I would have done. Like, awesome, let's do it, or more creative. So it's like trying to manage those personalities and pull the right levers to get them going in the direction that you think a client will like, which is more important than whether like I'll like it, but and then those people are also probably not like all going to be like hilarious people or all going to be super chill people. Some of them are going to be wound tight. So it's finding ways, I think, to just talk to people and be like, look, you see that you're wound a little tight here, right? Like you can loosen up, and like telling the other person like, hey, you might need to tighten up a little bit. Like you're pretty chill. Like, I mean, I'm the most chill person in the office. If not, if you ask them, but I'm in my soul. But
Yeah.
I think it's those direct conversations, right? That you just don't, it's becoming a manager is not like becoming an architect, right? So like how you just like, but you talked about it too, like lunches, like getting people out of the office and doing fun stuff together, and trying to make sure like everybody participates in like mandatory fun. Eventually it's like they get to see each other for who they are, but I'm sure this is the same way around your office. It is like that at my office. Like I'm not being serious very often. I can be serious for 35 minutes straight, and then it's like, all right, now we're going to start cracking some jokes. That's about as, even my red lines, man, my red lines will be a bunch of serious things. And then I'll be like, this looks like a robot from Futurama, and just like draw like, and it's like that.
Yeah. It's like number one rule is the elevations aren't supposed to look like faces.
And if they do look like faces, they should look like good looking people's faces, not, not sloth from the Goonies.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I feel like at this point, there's times where I'm disrupting some of that cultural flow, which is a good place to feel,
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like Sarah, our director of design, I mean, she works pretty much around the clock now, just trying to, run the team, and manage that. And so she's doing a really great job and putting a lot of attention to it. That doesn't mean that I'm not trying to put attention towards, our people and our culture, but that's something that we definitely learned as we grew, is when you're 3, 4, 5 people, it's just inherently a tight group. But as soon as you get to the 10 or even the 8,
yeah,
you just have to give it more and more attention than we kind of anticipated.
Do you think it's weird, like, that people perceive you as a boss, like as
I
their
mean,
boss?
I kind of feel like I've always wanted people to perceive me as a boss, even in freshman studio.
Like that you were in charge? I remember that about you. Whenever I was air
Yeah,
guitaring on my 36-inch straight edge, I remember you being like, "Can you cut it out?"
I think so. I think there is that confidence piece, which especially when you're young and starting this thing, you don't even know, like you don't have enough proof of concept that what you're saying or doing is right or good, And I think over time, you just have experience and a little bit more confidence that I'm not saying that I'm definitely right, but I'm saying that I have a fair amount of experience and knowledge on the subject matter. And
It-
if I were to hedge my bets, like the direction that I'm saying is probably,
Yeah,
the most, you
yeah,
guys tell me where I'm wrong, and I'm wrong a lot, right?
yeah,
And it honestly, and it doesn't make me happy when I'm wrong. It makes me happy when my team is more in tune with the client's needs than I am, because that's the
yeah.
way it's set up to be, right?
See, my thing is like I'm with you on that. It's like I'm I have no problem with like ego or confidence. I'm sure that I'm right, but I'm also willing to be wrong. Like you can show
Right.
me something different, and if it's better, let's do it. I'm happy to see it. Where I get weirded out by being a boss is like people are scared to tell me that they are going to be late to work today, and I'm like, I'm going to be late to work today. Like, I don't know why you would be scared. Have I ever given off intimidating at any point in my life? I think the answer is no. Like, I don't. I think even if I tried, I couldn't be intimidating.
Yeah, like, oh, I'm really sorry. I'm in the hospital. I broke my leg and got hit by a garbage truck. I'm going to be late. I'm like, okay, sounds
Yeah.
good.
All right. Yeah, dude. I don't ask follow-ups. I'm just like, all right. Yeah, like that story right there. It's like I really want to know the follow-ups, but also it's a personal. It might be a HIPAA violation if I ask you what color the garbage truck was. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and the nature of our work is so specifically deadline based. And we have to continually work on it just to make sure everyone knows what they're responsible for and what those deadlines are, right? So it's everyone knows what they need to get done, and if there's limitations in being able to do it, then we have to have that conversation so that we can make adjustments. Otherwise, I just trust that they're going to get it done. I mean, we've
I
been
do a
really
lot of like.
fortunate with really good people like that. But
Yeah. I do a lot of trust that like you're just gonna get it done. Like, but I do think like one of the hardest things for me and as we've grown is that changing from like it's very easy to just be a design focused firm when it's one person or two or even three, right? Like this is all that matters. Like you're in control of a lot of stuff. Like you can, you know, if a deadline slips, it's going to slip by a day, but you're all three of you are on it. It's like you're no one's going to lose track of it. And I always said like I don't care about profitability. Like we're just going to do good work and the stuff will get profitable from there. Like and that's the point. It's like just do good work. Well, like then you get to 11 people or 8 people or whatever and it's like, "Oh, our break even point is here." And like we got to get all this stuff out to get to our break even point. And now all of a sudden on our like management calls, it's like, "Guys, we can't only have build this from last week and build this from this week." And it's like all of a sudden it's like, "Oh no, I'm exactly like I'm talking about multipliers and things that like I literally still don't care about except that like look out we gotta be profitable to keep people employed, and it's like, oh man, now it's a business. And then I turn to all the young people in the office and I'm like, that's why I said don't grow up, don't do it. Stay right here.
yeah, I mean, it's a huge mind shift, and it's not my profitability, it's not Scott's profitability.
No.
It's really the oxygen that feeds C Studio and Live
Yeah.
Code, which is the intent is to continually bring good things to the world.
Yeah.
So if that thing isn't getting fed, it can't do it. It just
Well,
can't.
and then if you don't do the good projects efficiently and get them out so that you can replace them with good projects, what you end up doing is taking like projects you don't want to do because you need them for profitability. And then it's like, all right, well, like now you're working on stuff you didn't because you were inefficient here. You're working on stuff you don't want to work on. And like you said, it's not my profitability. Like we're gonna be all right. It's like, hey, can you can you maintain this for everybody else?
Yeah, for C. So
Yeah.
on that note, I know we're going long. I hope that's all right.
Yeah, I'm good. I'll talk.
We'll go all day. On that note, kind of circling back to something
Sure.
I think it was your uncle said, was it your uncle said you can always go get a job? Have you ever
A first client, a really early client? Yeah.
Oh, an early client. So throughout, and
No,
how long you
never
guys
again. Yeah.
You guys have been doing this for what?
15 years. It was 15 years.
You've never
15 years, July 31st.
You know what? Maybe I'll just go get a job.
I mean, like, I think there's always some escapism when things get stressful, you know, and it's like you get like like that sort of like, oh, well, I could just pull the ripcord and we could like actually this wasn't like a get a real job moment. It was more of a like we could just put this on hold. We could put this on the back burner. It was at the very beginning of COVID. And Jen and I oftentimes will be on like very different pages. My wife, when I will be on very different pages for like a week at a time and then like flip and end up on the same page or she's read past me by that point and I'm still back where I was. But like the very beginning of COVID, when we first were like, everybody, we're going to go home. We're going to work remotely. I could see how difficult that was going to be because we have a very collaborative environment. I really believe in like the desk crit and like the professor sort of walking through the room and seeing something really great on your desk and telling you to like, no, chase that, or something really terrible on your desk and being like, you can just throw that away. Like you're not going anywhere with that. Right.
Yeah.
I knew how hard it was going to be. And so we took a walk and I was like, you know what, where we are personally and financially and where the firm is at the moment, it's like, we could uh just leave for like 2 years, come back to this, like our names on it, all of our capabilities are still there, or like the firm's not going to die, like we're going to be able to keep the mortgage paid on our office building, we're going to like, and just like go be, you know. And she was like, that's crazy. And so then like her first reaction was like, that doesn't make any sense, like we're going to this. And so I was like, all right, well, in 1 minute I shifted gears from like we're going to pull the ripcord to we just got to knuckle down and like work as hard as we can and like put our noses to the grindstone. And that's where I shifted to, was like, we're just going to take projects, because the uncertainty at the time was like, are there going to be any architectural projects and then it rapidly flipped to, there are too many architectural projects to do. But you know, I've had moments like that, but now I realize like I would be unhirable in a real job. I've been in charge of every decision, and I don't want them to all be my decisions, but like they have been all my decisions up until until we started hiring like other people who were partner level, you know. And it's like is SOM going to hire me to be like a dude in a hooded t-shirt, like, you know, sipping a Starbucks, like, and being on a call with Dave Pollard for all day today? Like, probably not, you know. But that's what I really want to be doing.
Well, and you know, full disclosure, your mom asked me to ask that question and let you know that you can make a good living as a professional mascot.
So, you know, you could. She
Yeah,
did. She told me I should have been a professional mascot. I love it. I love it. I don't know if anybody else heard that story, but she did tell me she.
Yeah.
That was in the green room, but she looked at all my thesis work pinned up and said, I think you should be a mascot. Because I was the Virginia Tech mascot. And so she was like, this is a good career path for you. I don't know what she thinks now. Dude, we won a AIA award for our own house, which is really exciting. Like, it's not a thing I ever expected. And I'll have to ask her when we get off this call how she feels about it. I'll totally rub it in her face. Like, Mom, what do you think now? Huh? Staying in an AIA award-winning house. Still think I should have been a mascot? She'll be like, yeah.
Well, on that note, I feel like I haven't really talked about the work as much, but I'm always like, I love seeing it. The work is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it, like my thought process on it, but I just see all these moments of like playfulness and thought that are really, really cool. The use of materials, obviously the floating stair behind you. It's just really cool to see. And there's two things I want to talk about there. One is your hand sketches. You're still hand sketching, man. You're crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Therapy?
one, thank you. Yeah, thank you. It like, I think everybody has imposter syndrome, right? So like you don't think, like I said at the very beginning of school, I thought I was Frank Lloyd Wright reincarnated, and then you go down to like, I might never be any good at this, and then you get compliment, and I'm bad with getting compliments, so like I'm working on just saying thanks, but but yeah, I mean, I think two things on hand sketching. One is like, if you go back to like first missions of like, why did you become an architect? It was to draw, right? Like I was like growing up, while my brother's out getting really good at playing football because he was tough and strong, and I was like, a nerd. Um, I was in my room drawing houses. I didn't even know I was preparing to be an architect. I was just drawing houses that were 40 stories tall with a pool on the roof deck, and it seemed like a cool place to be. They would, I mean, pull some of that. If I still had that graph paper, it'd be really bad. So like number one, it's like, look, I I I don't like being on a computer. Like I don't want to work in a computer. Like I'm totally unprepared for the AI age. Like I'll be, left behind, and I know it. But I like drawing. It's like it's cathartic, it's therapeutic, it's fun. It's like you can see something you're making become something in real time. It's like and like there's a feeling of having like the lead holder in your hand and like resharpening it and like just and pausing. And Jay used to talk about like how you pause and you think and um so I also think like hand drawing slows you down, right? It's very easy to let the computer make decisions for you. It's very easy to just like put a window somewhere. Did you think about what size that window was, or like why it is where you put it? And on some level it's also very slow, because it's like if you're gonna think about all that stuff, now even in preliminary schematic design you have to be thinking about who makes that window, and like and is it like a 3.0 or is it a 3.2 or a 2.8, and it's like none of that matters at 8 scale on a hand drawing, and you can just like you can move a little faster while also being much more thoughtful. And then what I didn't know, and what I've since learned, is that like clients really love hand drawing, man. They know the computer didn't make it. They look at it, most of them look at it as something like they couldn't do, so they sort of ascribe some like greater importance to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes things, and they also these aren't my own words. I actually read this in like a New York Times article or an opinion piece at one point, but um they can use their own imagination and fill in the gaps, like fill in the squiggles with what they think it's going to look like. And I found that lets you sort of turn up the intensity more slowly on what you're doing. And like if somebody wants a really traditional house, you can draw them something in sketch form that is like traditional seeming to them, but it's like more transitional to you. And like over time you can build in the details that you think are more appropriate. And then in the end, they're going to look at it and be like, I love this house. I didn't know why I love it. I didn't know, and it's like, oh, well, it's like, cause the proportions were good. They've always been good. And like, you were saying traditional, but what you really meant was you want it to be well proportioned and bright and like, and and comfortable. And modern can be all those things. It's like if it's done right. But you would never get that client to go for that thing if you showed them a computer drafted version of it, or even a photorealistic like, as I've also noticed with like photorealistic renderings, that people will like start saying like, is that the right white? Should we change the white to a different color? And it's like, well, you can't, like, we're so early here. You can't change the color. It's not even, you're seeing it on a different screen than I'm seeing it on. We're not even looking at the same white right now, So that never happens with sketches, right? It just, but really, again, first mission was like, I like to draw. I'd rather be at my table drawing. I'd rather be like lost on a sheet of vellum than like staring into a computer, for 12 hours. And then we sort of push the young people in the office to draw by hand, to think by hand. Like everybody's got a drafting table. They all have like sketch paper and markers and whatever. Like they're encouraged to like print stuff out, sketch over it, slow down. That hurts our efficiency sometimes, but I think it improves our our products.
Yeah, and I always feel like if you're drawing something in a computer or modeling it, the imagery is kind of the output of the system. And when you're drawing by hand, you're not drawing a picture, you're constructing something.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So in a computer, and this is a little bit of a challenge that I think the younger folk and even our generation has struggled with, with Revit and all of these things, is I can just move a wall over 6 inches. But when you draw something, you're really understanding the relationship of that wall to other things. Right?
Yeah.
So usually when you're hand sketching, there's just going to be a much cleaner partee. There's going to just be an organization as opposed to this collection of stuff, right?
Yeah.
When you do some really beautiful perspective drawings, and it's probably, I don't know what the answer is here, but are those often a resultant, or are those often the first step?
It mostly depends. I mean, I think more often than not, they are a resultant, right? Like I personally think in 2D, so I'm thinking in like plan and elevation usually. Um, and then to kind of like we've also found that those things are harder for, especially the layperson to understand, a flat elevation, especially in houses that like have a twist or a turn or something like that in them. It just doesn't make any sense. A foreshortened elevation is like that. Those are only for architects. Like no layperson ever wants to see it. They don't make any sense. So we are working hand in hand with the computer. Like we'll take that, then put it in like whether it's SketchUp or Revit or something, and build like sort of a framework that then we can sketch over. Just because I think like I like to use the computer as a tool to like increase our capabilities, not as a crutch that you just lean on the whole time. So but then like, and this is something where like I think when you're open to it, and the young people in the office actually teach you stuff, it's like I've seen on other people's desks in the office, like the way they work, they might like start with like a little 3D sketch or a little like little jewel box sketch, and it's like, oh, that's actually a really cool way to do it too, and like kind of start with like just like you know dimensions be damned, let me just draw something, see how it feels, and then try to turn that back into flat elevations that actually work. So that does happen. It just doesn't happen as frequently as like kind of constructing it the way that you talked about.
Totally. Yeah, and then we got to go in just a minute, but 2 quick topics I just have to say. Like the typology of work that you guys are able to work on is really, I've always thought it was really cool because I grew up going to the Outer Banks in North Carolina. It definitely stoked my interest in architecture because you can have more fun with it.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're all different.
You can have more fun with it. And you can also like one of the reasons you can have more fun with it, not just like as an architect, but is that clients sort of come to you wanting it to be more fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
They often live in like, a formal neighborhood somewhere like in DC, like let's say they live in Georgetown and they live in like a brick row house or something. And they're like, okay, but I don't want a brick row house at the beach. I'm willing to have fun here. Like at home, I'm going to get judged by my neighbors. I got to be buttoned up. I got to have the tie, up in the collar. Here, it's like, I'm wearing, board shorts and a t-shirt or whatever. I'm wearing a bikini. Like I want my house to be fun. So it's like I found like sort of spiritually people are willing to give stuff a try. And then there's also like houses were built like to be so impermanent. Like in the Outer Banks, it was like they're just built out of pressure treated lumber and they really weren't supposed to be there long. And like, I mean, you see like on the news today with the hurricane with Aaron out there, like they're showing pictures of waves washing up against houses and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but those houses, like when they were built, people were like, this isn't going to make it forever,
Yeah.
And so you look around at the houses around here and most of them are not like, they were built, they weren't designed, they're not beautiful, but they make people very happy. So it's like, you can, people often do, like you could tear one down and you can put something else in its place. And it's like, there is no fabric. There's no, like, you're not destroying the fabric with a glass and steel box. You could put a glass and steel box there and it's like, it's just another little part of the quilt. So, it is fun. And I will say like, though, you work on the same kind of project over and over and over again. Eventually you're like, I don't know how many more of these like oceanfront east facing houses you can do before you're like, all right, I'm out of ideas. But that's why I think like good clients lead to good projects, right? They come to you with something that you would never ask for yourself. And you're like, all right, cool. Like here's a constraint or here's a programmatic requirement that I got to find a way to make beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I think you've seen that in the Outer Banks where there's every couple of years there's a development. I mean, now it's all built out, but like on the northern beaches where a developer has 10 lots and they're going to build 10 of the exact same house with slight variations. So it's almost like it becomes a little bit more homogenous again versus how it is when you go down to the southern beaches. But I mean, if you look through your work, every house is completely different. It's pretty cool. There's different notions towards,
and that would be, that would be so tough. Like if somebody called you and they were like, I want you to design a super modern house in this neighborhood of homogenous things, and be like, oh man, your neighbors they're going to hate you. They will hate you. Right. You know, like there's like, you know, but let's try it. Sure. Let's go for it.
Well, I'm jealous, man. Super cool work. We didn't talk about Philadelphia. I feel like I have to have Dave on here for the next one.
You should
hear what he's got going on. So Dave joined forces with you, what, 5 years ago or something?
Yeah, just about 3 or 4 or something like that. Yeah.
And he's building out Philadelphia.
He's building out Philadelphia, really focused on like mixed use, multifamily, kind of that sort of stuff, and running a lot of our like kind of resi-mercial, performing arts projects and things like that in the meantime. But yeah, I mean, you can see the difference between us. Dave will get on with like a button-up shirt and like a, like a real polished vibe, because he's got to meet like,
he's city near the beach.
Yeah, and he's got to meet like organized people who are like, not just coming off the beach for lunch to meet with you. So,
and so Dave is a classmate of ours as well since freshman year, and a dear friend. So you guys are the only two that I know of that have joined forces, which is kind of cool to see.
Which again, it's like, it's about having fun, right? Like, why not just hang out with people you love, that are, and the one problem with it is you do end up talking business instead of just goofing off. You got to take the good with the bad.
I don't believe it. There's
occasionally.
No up there. Scott, thanks for coming on, man. I know we went like the full hour, but
usually my fault. I say that about every meeting too. I'm like, this ran long because of me.
No, there's so much I wanted to dig into, and we'll do it again. And honestly, we can go as long as we want. It's just how long people want to listen to us. But
the people turned this off a long time ago, Dave.
Good person.
Right. So, your mom turned this off so long ago.
Thanks again for being here, man. Say hey to Jen. Say hey to your mom. And I know that sounded weird, didn't it?
Nope. It sounded perfect. Yeah.
Your mother for me.
Yeah. Why?
And your brother Brian and the whole crew. We got to get together soon. Oh, you got to give a plug for your podcast.
Oh, Bird Brains. If you want to listen infrequently to people talk about college football, one of the guys does know college football. The rest of us do not. Mostly about Virginia Tech, but loosely about college football. And again, very infrequently, irregularly, maybe not even ever again. But if you do want to, check out Bird Brains. It's really stupid. It's the best.
And then if you want to find Scott and his work, you guys are CSEAgreenstudio.com, correct?
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott. Always awesome to talk to you. Look forward to catching up again soon.
See you, man.
Later, man.